It is 5:04 p.m. and I now call to order the special council meeting. As I told some of you informally earlier, this is a special call meeting to discuss one issue and one issue only. I was approached by Walter Mack Osborne several days ago about interest in using the Armory by the Civil Air Patrol, and that Walter Mack provided me a written request, and I'll just hit the highlights. This is the Civil Air Patrol. Colonel Dean E. Gold is here. He's in the audience, and he would like to use the Armory this coming Saturday from 12 noon to at the absolute latest 10 o'clock. Probably will not be anywhere near that long, but that's a chunk of time they need it for setup and takedown. It's for a banquet for graduation and awards, celebrating the success of students as they complete 8 days of training at Fort Pickett. They also would like to donate $250 to the town for using the facility. I think we had an offer of $500 from the wrestling group, but anyway, they've offered to pay $250. They know it's not air conditioned. I understand it would be as many as 400 cadets. Is that true?
450, yes.
450. And the building fire capacity has been recently rated during a recent inspection at 517.
I can't say it's fire. This is from Nottoway County for an occupancy permit, but I have not received any communication formally from the fire inspector who has inspected the building. I don't have anything in writing. I did receive an email from Walter Mack asking me to communicate with Dean Lewis, and I have done so, and Dean has provided a certificate of occupancy. But as far as that being a fire inspector, he has inspected the building, but I don't have any written reports of any kind.
But in other words, that certificate of occupancy is what's needed.
That, and I do think I'd like to see a written report from the fire marshal telling us, and I think Walter Mack has met with him and gone through the buildings, and there's certain things that he did want to have done. And I do think I'd like to see that in writing, make sure we get them done. I think there's some doors and things that need
Okay. Let me ask you this, just a moment, Mr. Osborne, just a moment. Do we normally just ask, and I know what we've done in the past doesn't really matter to what we're going to do in the future, but I know we've had arts and crafts in there, we've had the wine festival in there, we've never had a certificate of occupancy or fire. That I mean we shouldn't have. Okay. Mr. Osborne.
Mayor, the occupancy was for the fire marshal because he couldn't write a report on the building that he didn't know the classification of it. Okay. And what we did was we classified the building using just the ground floor and the refurbished flat bathroom square footage. And the county building inspector met with Brian Green, and he calculated up and it would be that easily that.
At this time.
At this time.
It could be larger if the building were ever renovated.
700 plus after the building's done easily. And with that, I met with the fire marshal. Darnell Weatherington is his last name. He was the fire marshal when I was fire chief. I worked with him on Nottoway Schools and Heritage Hall and downtown after the Mitchell's fire.
Okay.
And Darnell indicated to me, I said, Darn, because I was worried about wrestling.
Weatherington.
And I said, Darnell will do wrestling, have a group in there. What do I need to address after he finished the inspection? He says, you take care of the fire, those 3 doors in the back, and everything else is just 45 days. But you need to take care of those 3 doors. And the 3 doors have been taken care of.
Okay.
We worked, actually worked all last weekend fixing it.
Okay.
And they just need to be open and doorknobs put on. There was a lock on the outside basement door that was put on by the food bank, for the food bank for excess, and we took that off and made the inside lock work, and everything's fine now for dog. But again, he was supposed to give us a written report. He told me on the phone Monday that he would try to have a written report done on Wednesday.
Which is today.
And I'm sure we can get one from him by Friday to indicate this also.
And just in case people are wondering, you know, when this request came to me, I don't have the authority to say no or yes to a group, but I want to assure anyone out there that's listening and watching that whether it be Civil Air Patrol or a high school reunion, whatever, if someone comes to me as a mayor and wants to use a town facility, especially a large crowd that could have Saturday, I'm always going to bring it to the council as soon as possible. I don't like to have special meetings because it does give the appearance of a rush and that sort of thing, but in this case, we acted as fast as we could, and I would do that for anybody.
He inspects for 2 things, Bill. He inspects for life safety and he inspects for maintenance and upkeep.
Okay.
And maintenance upkeep is the wiring and the stuff in the whole alarm system in the basement that's unhooked for years. It's just hanging there. And the stuff that you have to, it's just necessary maintenance that hadn't been done. And all the life safety was fine. All the fire extinguishers we bought were fine and everything. All the exit doors have been repaired. In fact, it's the first time the exit doors have probably worked correctly since people have been in the building in 20 years.
Very good. I can tell you and see some of the volunteers here, the building has never looked better in my last 30 years in Blackstone. I can tell you that right now. On the inside or outside, to be honest with you.
If it's not suitable for Civil Air Patrol, it's not suitable for arts and crafts. Simple as that.
Right.
You cannot put 2 or 3,000 people through the building in arts and crafts and have everything you have in arts and crafts and get out of the way. It's the safest it's ever been.
Right.
It's the safest.
It's a daytime event. It's not a big party by any means, so this is about as motherhood and apple pie as it's going to get. Members of council, what's your pleasure?
Can I ask a question?
You certainly can. This is the
Okay,
time.
I'm gonna address this to the Civil Air Patrol. Okay, you know, you all train at Pickett, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I retired from out Pickett, there's a lot of facilities out at Pickett. So my question to you is, did you try to get Fort Pickett before you came to us, or how does this working?
We've simply outgrown Fort Pickett. So when I started participating with Civil Air Patrol, Virginia Civil Air Patrol, we were running about 150 to 200 personnel, and we've doubled our size in the last 10 years. We've outgrown every dining facility that is at Fort Pickett. Last year, we partnered with Kinston Forest School and used their gym to be able to do the same thing. This year, unfortunately, they called us shortly before we started encampment and said, oh my gosh, we're resurfacing our gym floor.
That's right.
It's not going to be available. And that's when we started scrambling and contacted the chamber.
So you're telling me that there is no place on Pickett to accommodate you?
For our banquet to serve us all at the same time, correct. So the way that we do, we serve meals now, it takes about an hour and a half. We cycle all of the personnel through about an hour and a half so that we're able to feed about 125, 150 at a time.
And I think the capacity of the officers clubs, I've been out there, I believe it's either 270 or 310. Is it 270?
Yes, we have, in the years that I've been doing encampment, we have utilized the officer club, and it's a wonderful facility for being able to do so, but we outgrew it about 4 years ago.
Wow.
I've been telling
It's,
y'all.
it's a good problem to have for us, obviously, but we certainly have.
You have 450 people.
Correct. That we feed 3 times a day right now.
This is the awards banquet where they all be together.
This is, and of that 450, some of those, about 25 of those personnel are our dining services staff. And obviously, we want them to be a part of this banquet, this celebratory part of it. And so we're not asking them to feed us, we're having it catered. And that's, brings it all.
My local restaurant.
Correct.
Excellent, excellent. All right, members of council,
Do you guys have liability insurance?
Yes, we provided a copy of, so by the time we got the notice this afternoon, our admin person doing headquarters for us had already left for the day. So we'll get that tomorrow, but what we did provide was the exact same one that we used with Kinston Forest.
So this is what they used last year, and Jennifer Hardy is going to send it to VML and see what wording needs to be on there. Well, yeah,
Oh,
that's,
yes.
he's just showing what they did
No,
last year.
it's-
But he's just gonna submit it to VML
We
tomorrow
wanted to
and
be
see
able
if it,
to-
what language needs to be on here.
in VML also, just so, I know that the town manager's had some discussion about some other requests in the future. They're adamant they want whoever's going in there to have their own liability insurance, which,
Yeah, up on your desk, there's a letter that we received, and this was as a result of the wrestling request.
Right.
And which was a little different than using for arts and crafts and that sort of thing, but, we asked, VML to tell us what should or should not be done, and this was their response. And I guess the recapitulation, it says, have you considered holding the event at different venues? Just say you still need to make sure the wrestling group and the 501c3 have their own insurance. And as Walter Mack informed me, the wrestling group had a waiver form, but no insurance. And I don't know the insurance status for the 501c3. It says if you all elect not to hold the wrestling event, the 501c3 Save the Armor Group needs to have their own general liability, hire non-owned auto and directors and offers of coverage. And that's a recommendation from our insurance carrier.
but for this event here, for the Civil Air Patrol, would their liability insurance be enough?
I don't know, we'll
Yeah.
follow it up, but
Those
for
are the
wrestling,
same coverage, that's why we brought it.
I know.
It has nothing to do with this if we're volunteering.
I understand that. Now, this is a request of a town-owned building by the Civil Air Patrol.
My personal and professional opinion is that both parties should have liability coverage.
And we think they do. Can we make if council wishes to vote yes tonight, could you make a contingent upon the paperwork that you're
Did Walter Max Group get a liability policy and the Civil Air Patrol have
We
liability?
don't have any reason to get.
I think for the Civil Air Patrol, I think the main thing for this request tonight, we're focusing on Saturday night. They got their liability insurance. The town has its building, and we have liability insurance. I think that would be sufficient for that.
We have no business relationship with the town of Blackstone and that armory.
I understand that.
Okay, this is not a fire department nor a 501c3, and if you do not.
This letter is from
What
the,
we're gonna do is be there and stand there and take care of the town's building. If the mayor also would probably need to get somebody from town staff to be there, if y'all, because I cannot pay $300 to watch your building.
you talking about for the Civil Air Patrol dinner?
Yeah, because if y'all want us to have insurance and then have a dinner, you're asking me to pay $350 to watch your building.
Right.
Well, the way I take it from reading this letter, they're not comfortable with us doing anything in that building.
Pardon?
The way this letter
No, their
seems is
opinion
that,
is, quite frankly, it's premature to hold a business until it's properly inspected, properly constructed, and properly handled, and properly insured. They are not fans of.
Well, they have not seen, they say in their letter they have not visited the building, and they ask the questions that normally one would ask to cover your base. Let's face it, if you're in the insurance business, if there's a potential boogeyman out there, you want to make sure you cover it, so, but
One quick question, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. We just want to clarify also, and Walter Mack said, correct, there is no alcohol involved in this event either.
Absolutely.
Okay.
These are, out of that 450, all except for 80 are teenagers
Okay,
between the
gotcha.
age of 12 and
We
Right.
just wanted to clarify that because you
Can I
have
ask
to
a
get extra
question?
policy if there was alcohol. So he had said no, I just wanted everybody to hear that. Are you good with that?
Okay, my question is, I heard you say something about $250.
that was a donation.
Donation.
Yes, sir.
How did you derive $250?
Last year,
Because, let me explain something. And the reason why I'm asking this is because your group is asking for it, $250. Then if somebody else wants it, and they come back and say, well, this group paid $250, I mean,
You probably base that on what your past rentals have been for other facilities, is that correct?
Last year to Kinston, they actually told us that there was no charge for using it. What we did pay was the custodial staff to be there the whole time that we were there, from start to finish, and accompany us, basically. In addition to doing that, we donated $200 to the school for use of the facility to cover health and utilities.
I think the main thing tonight is I know there are a lot of other issues with the Army that we've all discussed and know we're going to be addressing in the next several days. I think tonight the main issue is you have a letter in writing from the Civil Air Patrol. You have their liability insurance form that's going to be run by VML, and you have their offer of $250 to use it. The question is, do you want to allow them to use it, and if so, is $250? You know, and I think this council, by doing that, I think Mr. Miller raises a good point. Everyone out there is going to say $250 is a going rate, but we're in the infancy of any use policy regarding the Army. This is just we're in the infancy of this. Mr. Osmond, let's ask one more question. This council is going
I'm
to.
not asking, I'm just gonna say, we talked about this and a little bit about money, because I remember, and I was trying to remember that Ford Ticket Club, I think their base rate is either $250 or $350. And I have a place with no air conditioning and no heat, it's a barn. Okay, like you just said, we got a long way to go. It can be rented for more than 4 tickets. We're trying to bring the 10,000 people that are using the old book ticket place that is now, I found out this week, close to 2 years in advance.
That's
To
correct.
Blackstone. 500 people will like Blackstone, come to Blackstone, enjoy our town, eat a dinner here, shop, and one of our restaurants will get all the catering and help one of our restaurants just pays meals tax back to the town. We'll take care of crossing the T's and dotting I's. But the insurance thing is just like any citizen contacting town and saying, hey, somebody told me we want to use so-and-so. And then that you all going back and telling the citizen, well, since you told us about it, you've also got to get liability insurance.
Well, the town council currently lets DBI program the square, and the only time it ever comes before council, I believe, is if there's alcohol involved. Isn't that correct? DBI has scheduling authority of the square. You may have scheduled something right now I don't even know about, which is fine, because council's authorized you to Mr.
Doesn't happen at the end of August, but we do get the town manager's signature.
Right.
But we've talked about this in the last week or two, because honestly, little things like this, if we've got a set of guidelines and directions from council, this is a responsible group, just like the DBI group. There's no reason why we couldn't do that anyway for the long run, and you wouldn't have to do this every time for little bitty things.
Right.
And also, also that would allow this group to buy correctly an insurance policy for a year or for things that are going out and they, oh my God, Dave Lee, I gotta have something for this weekend for $300
Right.
that I can normally buy in 6 months.
Right.
Okay, we're ready to work with the town and temporarily manage the armory until the town is ready and able to do it so it can operate like the officers club.
Right. I think for now, I think, like I said, I think in the next month, 30 days, this council is going to tackle some big armory questions, but tonight the question is just, it's a Civil Air Patrol. The letter that the town manager does share does ask a lot of questions, good questions. But I think it's probably, that's a bigger question for like wrestling and groups that come in, they don't have their own insurance. And that liability waiver, I can just tell you, I've been to enough insurance seminars to know it's a feel-good panacea. It doesn't really alleviate, the school system insurance company says, for open gym, signing a waiver isn't worth a piece of paper it's written on. What's council's pleasure on this
Well, what it
request?
boils down to, and I appreciate everything you've done, Mac, I know you work hard, but reading this letter, if our own insurance don't feel comfortable using it, then what kind of umbrella does that put us under if something were to happen? Am I right, Philip?
They've
This
advised
is
you,
based on the wrestling thing though, isn't it?
they've advised you 2 items specifically, and that's insurance, and I think the Civil Air Patrol is one to do that, and insurance from the 501c3 group, and then I think those are more posed questions than they are necessarily, and, you know, is there asbestos present? Is there an occupancy? All those kind of things. And I think we're trying to check those boxes slowly but surely get down the list. But yeah, I do think if something were to happen, especially with wrestling, my God, if some guy broke his neck in there or something like that, no insurance, and they're coming to the town.
We took wrestling
But
off.
they're,
Well, let us finish talk, please.
they're gonna sue the town no matter what. Because we've got the deepest pocket. We're the ones with insurance. So really, no matter what happens, let's say somebody has something to drink at a wine festival and trips and knocks their front teeth out. We get insurance claims all the time for people that trip on sidewalks on Main Street, okay? And we just turn them into VML, and VML doesn't necessarily cover them, okay? Not typically those kinds of claims. But you guys are going to, you will be the umbrella, and if we have done something that is not pleasing to VML, they may find a way to wiggle out of coverage. That's my personal thought. Now, if we can check those boxes and get on through the thing, slowly but surely, and I think we've made some progress. The fire marshal thing was pretty slow. I'm with Mac on that. That was an extended period of time to get him down here and do all that sort of thing. But, yeah, I mean, when VML says, and your insurance carrier says do or don't, my recommendation to you guys is pay attention to what the VML carrier says. Now, can we go back to them and revise and discuss with them that this has been granted occupant, the fire marshal has been in here? Sure, we do all these kind of things.
I'd like to just make a comment. I think knowing that this CAP has liability insurance, and they do have a fee involved that will be donation, and the caterers are local, I think that we could go ahead and do this pending the information we get back from VML.
Who's gonna set up for this?
Okay.
They're gonna do it, and they said they leave the building cleaner than they took it, and we've already decided about the group, we would try to split up the 12-hour period they're gonna be there, so somebody, a town citizen, could stand in the building and help the town monitor it while we're there.
When you say a town citizen, who are you specifically saying?
Army Group Volunteer,
I'm a
bro.
town citizen, I've lived here, sir, my whole life here.
I understand you're a town citizen,
Okay,
but I'm
then
just
that's
saying.
what I am.
Okay, but who, I mean, are you going,
No, Walter Mack, please. Walter Mack, please,
Hey,
please.
that's who I was. I'm somebody who wants and likes and loves the town of Blackstone, sir. I'm holding my thing. I'm being very calm, sir.
I did not ask
Now,
you.
Mr. Miller has the floor. Councilman Miller has the floor, and I think what he's asking for, these are primarily going to be Army volunteers, I'd imagine.
For the town volunteers, we've asked him to come by and help us, and he won't even.
This is not about Mr. Miller. This is not about Mr. Miller.
Mac, you're gonna be asked to leave if you don't calm down.
No, sir.
Yes, you will.
No, I said,
Because
no, sir, I
you
won't.
do not help us at all.
I said, no, sir.
You do not help us
I'd
at
entertain a
all.
motion one way or the other, but this is getting out of hand.
Yeah, I apologize for what I'm saying. No, I'm sorry. I apologize for what I was trying to say. Again, my deal is somebody from the town needs to be at the facility. We're trying to save money. If you would like to have somebody there or deem somebody there, I'm a town volunteer. I'm the town's oldest volunteer. I'm just trying to be a responsible citizen. Some people are trying to turn this into somebody trying to run business out of town.
The rest of this meeting will be confined to remarks by the members of council. Mr. Osborne, please. The rest of the meeting will be confined to remarks by members of council. Members of council, what's your pleasure?
I don't mind as long as we get clear approval from the insurance carrier that they're okay with it. But again, remember that in the next month or two, we've got
Oh, there's a big mountain.
heavy lifting we need to decide on.
And can we get in writing from the fire marshal or whoever did the inspection?
I'll do that.
Mr. Osborne does have that. I've seen a little snippet of it. We'll take care of that. Just, I'll throw this out there as a suggestion. I think if council hypothetically were to make a motion to approve, contingent upon approval of the liability insurance for this event and this event only, and the $250 being paid in advance of the event, I think that motion would be in order. But y'all could make a motion to not do that.
And if Philip thought maybe it was good stewardship from the town, I think if there's a town employee there or two, that should be reimbursed, I would think.
In addition to the $250.
In addition to the $250, yeah. Which, I mean, you're not talking about much anyway, but I
Yeah, we
mean.
don't mark anything.
I'll swing by there for a little bit. I've got an event that day from 1 to
And I'm not
4.
talking about volunteers.
How about we do this? If they make a donation, how about they make it to the Armory Group?
But that connects us to this, we will not be connected then with the with the insurance thing. I need to be connected with that business.
I beg, let's wrap this up with a motion. Let's take care of this.
I make a motion that we allow this, the Civil Air Patrol to use the building for their banquet, contingent on that we get VML to agree that there aren't any issues.
I second.
All right, we get the second, Ms. Hasbrook. Any further discussion? I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. And members of Civil Air, I want to just inform you, you have probably not expected this type of meeting, but it's not y'all. It's been an issue for about 15 years about where we're going with this building. And the council in the next 30 days is going to make some big votes on the future. And so there's a little bit of tension, understandable. The volunteers have done an amazing job. Members of council just trying to do their due diligence, and we're thankful for everything y'all do, especially for the young children in our community. I've been out to some of those meetings, and they're impressive folks.
If I might, I'd extend an invite to any one or all of you to come and visit. 5:30, 6 o'clock is when we'll be having the banquet itself. We're more than happy to have you come and visit and interact with the young people that
Sure.
we have. Because I honestly believe in this program and the leaders that they're building for tomorrow. I think it's a snapshot of youth that we very uncommonly don't get to see outside of this organization. And these are wonderful young people.
We thank you so much for your dedication to those young people. And with that said, we'll adjourn the meeting to 5:25 p.m.
Two items, real quick, Armory, really,
Unadjourned, okay.
two items very quickly. One of them is the certificate of occupancy. And if it pleases council, I'll go ahead and sign it.
By common consent.
By common consent with the county. And the second one is a copy of some minutes from our last meeting in regard to repairs to the building.
Yes.
And we've received some additional requests for repairs of buildings, and I told you guys that they're not left alone, based on the following motion that was made on at the May 20th meeting. The councilwoman Hasbrook made a motion to allow the work to be done, and this is the previous list, and I think there was cutting off a pipe, and there's 3 or 4 things. The labor that the Armory Group is presenting, and we got over the hump with the just labor, because we do have about $3,900 or thereabouts of money to pay for those items, and it's presented, and anything else would have to come through the town manager and council. I think there's some concern that there may be a rogue element of town hall, but there really isn't. That is the motion that any additional improvements are to be approved by town council. They're going to be functioned by the council. And that's on the
With town labor's involved.
if town labor is involved. That's the May 20th meeting.
Okay.
And there should be a
And
copy.
you were the one contacted, it's not circumvented, you're the direct.
Walter Mack and I spoke the other day in regards to, I think or he sent me an email, some additional plumbing work that he'd like to have, and I responded back to him that the next council meeting we would.
Which is Monday.
Council, and I think that there was also some direct communication between he and Dan in regards to moving stages and that sort of thing, and Dan asked me, what do you want me to do? And I said, don't do anything, we're gonna have a council meeting on Wednesday, and we'll just deal with it then, so.
Okay.
I think Dan's recognized that until he hears from me or from council, he probably is reluctant to send the guys over there because they don't want to get themselves in a jam either. Okay. May 20th council meetings, everybody needs some minutes or video.
Can I
Me-
first sincerely apologize, Mayor, before you get that? if I was rude or
Your passion, we appreciate your apology.
Also, just correct one thing, the plumbing issue is actually a stopped up drain and a well inside of the armory. And I noticed when we were working on the exit doors for the fire marshal, making those repairs, there's a fair amount of trash that's blown into that well, and it stopped up the drain. And now the water is running in, all the rainwater is running into the room where the town has stored all of its new Christmas decorations. And I was concerned, only, one thing is because we're trying to keep a building thing, we're not asking for any repairs, this is maintenance, just a stopped up drain.
Still, anything involving that goes to the town
I
manager,
just want to
period.
explain why I want to tell council where we want, so when it does come up, again, there's water going in the basement, the stopped up drain. And number two was they were town stages, 5 people couldn't move them, they were 400 pounds each. We store them in the armory every year for arts and crafts, we were trying to move them for the open house.
Right.
And at insult to injury, after he couldn't move them yesterday, the same guys came in and moved 4 of them right in front of me and took them over to the other place, and they told me they could not help me lift them on the stage.
All right, we'll have a meeting on.
Shouldn't be like this, help me folks, I
Well,
appreciate it. Y'all-
Well, I want to add, like I said, Mr. Morgan said, Mr. Norback, whatever your position is in this town about this building, my position is always going to be protocol and procedure. And this council speaks through motions. I'm going to make sure council adheres to those motions. Monday night, there may be a new set of motions, but for now, no citizen really, in my opinion, and please don't take this as blunt criticism. I would not want my wife picking up the phone, calling the town manager or Dan Martin, and say, hey, look, when y'all going to come get these sticks to do this? We go through protocol. And the town manager, I don't think any town employee, puts a town employee in a bad position when they're like, someone I like and I want to help, wants me to do something, but it puts that employee in a bad predicament. And
Never intended to.
I know that. I know that. No one's down intentions.
They're the best people in this town.
Meeting adjourned at 5:31.
Thank you for all your help and support.